Now we're going to look at one of the most exciting new features in all of CS3, and that's got to be the smart filters. And you've probably heard a little bit about them, but once you see how they work, they're very, very easy. I think they're very, very well implemented, and they give you a lot of power to be able to basically change how your filters are applied and where they're applied, all that kind of stuff after the fact. Now, here's the layers palette. Let's go and open up that. The key to using smart filters is you have to have a smart object. So if you're opening a brand new document or something like that, or importing a photo, you'll want to choose open as smart object, and then it's ready to go. But that's not a problem. If you didn't do that and your photo's just open here, you want to have it become a smart object. When you go to the filter menu, right up at the top it says convert for smart filters. And all this does is convert it into a smart object, just like in CS2. And you get a little warning that says, hey, we're going to make it a smart object. And you go, okay, that's fine. All right, and if you look over here, you can see the little icon there shows you that it is a smart object. Now you can go apply filter. So let's just, for example, go into the filter menu under blur. We'll add a Gaussian blur. So it brings up the standard Gaussian blur dialog box. We'll add like a 3-pixel blur or something, so it's nice and blurry. Click OK. And if you go to the layers palette now, that you'll see under that layer, kind of grouped with it, is this smart filter. Let me just expand this down a little bit. And you can see that this mask controls as many smart filters as you want. Since the smart filter is white and clear, it's all being shown, so the whole thing is blurry. So here's your Gaussian blur. Here are the things you can do. You can turn on and off the blur just by hiding the the eyelid. If you double click right on the word Gaussian blur, it brings back the regular dialog. But if you click over here where you see 2 adjustment sliders, it brings up a special blending options dialog box where you can decide to control the opacity of just that filter or the blending mode of just that filter. Let's go choose like soft light, so we get kind of a little softer effect there. Okay, so we'll click right there, and again you can turn it off and see before and after. Just kind of smooths the whole thing out. All right, now want to add another filter, stack it up on the same layer? Absolutely. Now let's go and choose, how about we go under brush strokes, and now let's go under artistic and choose watercolor. There we go. It's going to bring up the very large dialog box of the filter gallery, and we'll use the default settings and click OK. And you can see now it has a kind of a watercolor effect, but it looks like it's kind of a heavy watercolor effect. So I'm going to go to the little blending thing here and just lower the opacity. It seems like an awful lot of. There we go. That's something more like that. All right, and then if you want to do another one, now we can go to the brush strokes. We'll choose sprayed strokes. We'll use the default settings. Click OK. And now we've added a third thing. Again, so what's the big advantage here? Big advantage number 1 is you can turn off individual filters after the fact. All right, so there's what it looks like without the blur. How about if it was just the blur and just the watercolor? Or no watercolor and blur and sprayed strokes. So you can change them later. You can also change the stacking order of these. If you want the blur applied after the sprayed strokes, then you can do it that way, like that. And then here's the watercolor now on bottom. So it changes the whole look of this thing. Now, if you want to go back and change any of these after the fact, because here's the original untouched photo, you can just open them up. You can adjust them over here. And since this does have a mask on it, you can paint on the mask. So if later you decide, you know what, I really don't want to see the flower all messed up like that, we're just going to erase all of that and then leave the effect on the leaves and on the background. If you take a look, we painted on the mask and everything else is still intact. This one mask affects all of your smart filters. So that's kind of basically how it works. It's very, very easy. If you want to delete any of these, you can just turn them off. If you want to delete the mask, you can delete the mask. You can drag the mask right into the trash just like you would a layer mask. If you want to delete all the smart filters, you just drag them right there. So that's pretty much it. You now have incredible flexibility, non-destructive filters, completely editable, completely blendable, and best of all, you've got a smart object. So it gives you that whole nother level of being able to change your mind and edit after the fact. So that's a quick look at smart filters in Photoshop CS3.